What if the life you are living right now, every struggle, every failure, every silent moment of frustration, is not because you lack talent, not because the world is unfair, and not because success was never meant for you, but simply because something invisible has been sitting inside your mind, pulling every string, making every decision, whispering every doubt, and you never even knew it was there? What if the walls around your life were never built by your enemies, never built by poverty, never built by circumstance, but were built brick by brick, thought by thought, fear by fear, by you yourself, without ever realizing it? What if I told you that the most powerful prison on this earth has no guards, no locks, no iron doors, because it doesn't need them, because you guard it yourself? Because you lock the door every morning when you wake up and tell yourself who you are, what you deserve, and what is impossible for you. Stay with me today, because by the time this is over, you will never see yourself, your mind, or your freedom the same way again. What if the most dangerous enemy you will ever face in your entire life never raised a hand against you, never spoke a harsh word to your face, never stole from your pocket, but has quietly, systematically, and brilliantly stolen every dream you ever dared to dream, every ambition you ever dared to feel, and every moment of greatness you were born to experience? What if that enemy wakes up with you every morning, sits beside you at every meal, follows you into every room, and speaks to you in a voice so familiar, so intimate, so deeply your own, that you have never once suspected it of being your enemy at all? What if that enemy is not the economy, not your past, not the people who doubted you, but something living deep inside the architecture of your own mind, controlling you like a master controls a puppet, and the strings are so thin, so invisible, so perfectly woven into the fabric of your daily thoughts that you have spent years, perhaps decades, dancing to music you never chose, in a direction you never decided, toward a destination you never desired? This is not a comfortable truth. But understand something: comfort has never set anyone free. Comfort is the most elegant cage ever designed. It keeps you warm, keeps you fed, keeps you just satisfied enough to never demand more, and just numb enough to never realize how much you have surrendered. The first and most devastating truth about human freedom is this: you cannot break a chain you cannot see. And this is precisely why so many brilliant, talented, capable human beings walk through their entire lives never once experiencing the full, electric, magnificent expression of what they were genuinely born to become. Not because they lacked the intelligence, not because they lacked the opportunity, but because they spent every single day obeying a set of invisible instructions, instructions written into their minds by fear, by failure, by the opinions of people who were themselves prisoners, and they followed those instructions with the loyalty and the discipline of a soldier who never stopped to question who gave the order or whether the war was even real. Think about that. Think about how extraordinary that is. Human beings, the most complex, the most creative, the most potentially powerful creatures ever to walk the surface of this earth, walking in circles inside a prison they built themselves, guarding doors they could open at any moment, and calling that prison reality. Now, I want to speak to you about something that most people will spend their entire lives running from, because to face it requires a courage that is rarer than talent, rarer than genius, rarer even than opportunity. I want to speak to you about the nature of what truly controls a human life. Because until you understand this, every strategy, every plan, every ambition you chase will be like trying to run a race while someone invisible holds you by the collar. You will exhaust yourself. You will blame the track. You will blame the weather. You will blame every other runner. And you will never once look down and see the hand wrapped around your throat. There is a force operating in your mind right now. It operates in every human mind, and it is called belief. Not belief in the grand philosophical sense that people casually discuss over comfortable conversations. I mean belief at the cellular level. Belief that has been pressed so deeply into the fabric of your thinking that it no longer announces itself as belief at all. It announces itself as fact. It speaks to you in the language of certainty. It says things like, This is just how life is. This is just who I am. This is just what people like me can expect. And here is the terrifying, magnificent, world-altering truth. Your mind does not question those statements. Your mind does not challenge them, does not examine them, does not hold them up to the light and ask, "Who told you this? When did you decide this was true? What evidence actually supports this conclusion?" Your mind simply accepts them, and then it builds your entire life around them. Every decision you make is a reflection of what you believe is possible for you. Every relationship you choose, every opportunity you pursue or walk away from, every morning you rise with fire in your chest or drag yourself forward with the weight of quiet resignation, all of it, every breath of it, is a direct expression of the beliefs operating beneath the surface of your conscious mind. And the most shocking part, the part that should make every one of you sit forward in your seat right now, is that the vast majority of those beliefs were never chosen by you. They were given to you. They were pressed into you during the years when you were too young, too vulnerable, too open to defend yourself. They came from people who meant well, but were themselves carrying beliefs passed down from generations of people who were never free. They came from failures that happened once and were recorded in your mind as permanent law. They came from words spoken carelessly by people who had no idea they were writing the script of your life. And you have been living by that script ever since. Now consider the extraordinary cruelty of this situation. A person grows up in an environment of limitation, not necessarily poverty of money, but poverty of thought, poverty of expectation, poverty of belief. And that person absorbs, without any conscious decision, the belief that certain things are not available to them, that certain heights are not for them, that certain dreams are the property of other people, people born in different places, with different names, different faces, different starting points. And then that person, talented, capable, burning with potential they can barely articulate, walks into the world and begins to prove their own beliefs correct. Because this is what the mind does. This is its extraordinary, merciless function. Whatever you truly believe at the deepest level, not what you say you believe, not what you wish you believed, but what you actually believe in the silence of your most honest moments, your mind will work with breathtaking creativity and relentless precision to make that belief your reality. This is not mysticism. This is not philosophy spoken into thin air. This is the most practical, the most urgent, the most life-altering truth that any human being can ever encounter. And the tragedy is that most people hear it, nod their heads in polite agreement, and then return immediately to the business of being controlled. Because here is where it becomes deeply personal. Because knowing this truth is one thing, but standing in front of the mirror of your own mind and being willing to look, truly look, at the beliefs you carry, the fears you have normalized, the limitations you have dressed up as wisdom, that requires something that cannot be given to you, cannot be borrowed, cannot be purchased. It requires a decision, a single, ferocious, uncompromising decision that you are going to see yourself clearly, no matter what that clarity costs you in comfortable illusions. Most people refuse to make that decision, and I understand why. Because when you begin to look honestly at what controls you, you will discover things that are uncomfortable. You will find fears you did not know you had. You will find resentments you convinced yourself you had released. You will find desires so large and so powerful that you buried them under layers of practicality and responsibility because the alternative, actually pursuing them, felt more terrifying than simply pretending they did not exist. You will discover that many of the choices you believed were rational, logical, mature, were actually choices made by fear wearing the costume of wisdom. And this discovery will disturb you. It should disturb you, because a disturbance of that magnitude is not a breakdown, it is a breakthrough. It is the moment the prisoner realizes the door was never locked. It is the moment the sleeper opens their eyes. It is the most important moment in any human life, the moment you stop defending your limitations and start demanding your freedom. Now I want to speak to you about something that operates with even greater subtlety than belief. Something so pervasive, so constant, so deeply woven into the texture of daily life that most people never identify it as the controlling force it truly is. I am speaking about the voice inside your own head, the running commentary, the narrator of your experience, the voice that tells you what everything means the moment it happens. Most people assume that voice is them, that it is their authentic self speaking, their true nature expressing itself. But I want you to consider a different possibility. What if that voice is not you at all? What if that voice is a collection of every fear you ever absorbed, every criticism you ever received, every doubt that was ever planted in the soil of your developing mind? And it has been running on automatic, repeating those old programs, replaying those old recordings, generating the same limiting conclusions from every new experience you encounter. Because here is what that voice does, and pay very close attention to this, because this is where control operates at its most intimate and its most devastating. That voice does not just comment on your experiences, it creates your experiences. Because whatever that voice tells you something means, that meaning becomes your reality. Two people can walk into the same room, face the same challenge, encounter the same obstacle, and one of them will see an opportunity that excites every nerve in their body, and the other will see a threat that justifies every fear they ever carried. The difference is not the room. The difference is not the challenge. The difference is the voice, the invisible narrator, and the story that voice has been telling for years about who this person is and what they deserve and what is possible for them. You want to know what controls you? Listen to that voice. Really listen. Not as a passive, unquestioning audience, but as a detective, as an investigator, as someone who is determined to see behind the curtain. Listen to what it says when you consider a bold move. Listen to what it says when you encounter someone living at a level you desire. Listen to what it says when you fail, when you succeed, when you stand at the edge of something new and the next step feels uncertain. Because in those moments, that voice will tell you everything. It will reveal with perfect clarity the exact beliefs that have been running your life, the exact chains that have kept you precisely where you are. And once you see them, and this is the magnificent, the liberating, the almost incomprehensible truth, once you truly see them, they begin to lose their power. Because a chain can only hold you if you do not know it is there. The moment you see it, the moment you name it, the moment you look at it directly and recognize it for what it is, a belief, not a fact, a story, not a law, a pattern inherited from the past, not a permanent sentence on your future. In that moment, something fundamental shifts. You are no longer simply living inside the program. You are standing outside it. You are watching it. And anything you can watch, you can change. Anything you can see, you can choose. Anything you can name, you can refuse. This is what freedom actually means. Not the absence of difficulty, not the absence of struggle, not a life where every door opens easily, and every road is smooth, and every dream arrives without cost. That is not freedom, that is fantasy. Real freedom is the capacity to choose your response to every circumstance. Real freedom is the ability to look at a situation that every past program in your mind is screaming at you to run from, and instead, with full awareness, with full presence, with full command of your own mind, choose to stand, choose to act, choose to advance. That is power. That is the kind of power that no external force can give you, and no external force can take from you, because it lives not in your circumstances, but in the deepest, most sovereign territory of your own consciousness. Now let me speak about something that very few people are willing to confront directly, and that is the extraordinary comfort that comes from remaining controlled. Because here is a truth that the world does not often say out loud. Being controlled is comfortable. Being controlled means you never have to make the hard decision, never have to own the full consequence, never have to stand in the terrifying openness of complete personal responsibility. When something outside you is running your life, whether it is fear, habit, other people's expectations, or the invisible programming of old beliefs, you always have something to point to. You can always say, "This is why I couldn't. This is why I didn't. This is why it wasn't possible." And the world, full of equally controlled people, will nod sympathetically and agree with you, because your limitation confirms their own, and your resignation makes their resignation feel reasonable. But deep inside, in the part of you that has never stopped knowing what you are capable of, there is no comfort in that agreement. There is only a quiet, persistent ache, the ache of unlived potential, the ache of the life you were meant for, pressing against the walls of the life you settled for. That ache is not your enemy. That ache is the most honest voice you possess, more honest than every excuse, more honest than every rationalization, more honest than every comfortable story you have told yourself about why the dream was unrealistic. That ache is your truth, and it will not stop speaking until you either answer it or silence it completely. And silencing it completely is the most expensive thing a human being can ever do, because the price is your entire life. So I ask you, not rhetorically, not as a philosophical exercise, but as a direct, urgent, personal question, what is controlling you right now? What belief is sitting at the center of your life, determining the size of the risks you take, the height of the goals you set, the depth of the love you allow yourself to receive? What fear have you dressed up as caution, as maturity, as wisdom, when in truth it is simply a very old recording playing in a very modern life? What have you accepted as your limitation that is, in reality, nothing more than a thought you have thought so many times it began to feel like ground beneath your feet? Because here is the final and most powerful truth I can offer you, and I offer it not as a comfort, but as a challenge. You were not born limited. You were not born small. You were not born to manage your ambitions down to a size that makes other people comfortable and yourself invisible. You were born with a capacity for thought, for imagination, for creation, that is so staggering in its potential that the human race has spent thousands of years barely scratching the surface of what a single awakened, uncontrolled, fully free human mind can accomplish. The chains are real, but they are not iron. They are thought. And thought, unlike iron, can be changed in an instant. Not gradually, not with years of slow effort, but in a single moment of genuine, unflinching, courageous clarity. The moment you see the chain, you are already freer than you were a moment before. The moment you name the fear, it begins to shrink. The moment you look directly at the belief that has been running your life and say, I did not choose you. I do not need you, and I am done obeying you. That is the moment your real life begins. Not the life you were handed, not the life you were conditioned to expect, not the life that fits neatly inside the boundaries of what everyone around you decided was reasonable, but the life that has been waiting, patient, persistent, absolutely certain of your return, on the other side of every chain you were brave enough to see and strong enough to break. That life is not somewhere else. It is not available to other people and closed to you. It is not a reward for the exceptionally gifted or the unusually fortunate. It is the natural, inevitable, unstoppable result of one decision. The decision to see clearly, to think freely, and to act with the full, magnificent, unshackled power of a mind that answers to no master but truth. You are not free yet, but you are closer than you have ever been. Because you are here, you are listening, and somewhere beneath everything you have been told about who you are and what you deserve, you are remembering. Everything spoken today returns to a single irreducible point. Freedom is not found in the world around you. It is excavated from within you. It is discovered in the act of turning toward your own mind with honesty, with courage, and with the unshakable conviction that what you find there, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter how long it has been hiding, can be changed, can be transformed, can be made to serve your greatest purpose rather than your deepest fear. The journey to genuine freedom begins not with a grand action, not with a dramatic change of circumstance, but with a single act of vision. The willingness to see what has been controlling you, to name it without flinching, and to choose, perhaps for the very first time, a different response. That choice, made sincerely, made completely, made with the full weight of a committed mind behind it, that choice is the beginning of everything worth having. You came into this world with something extraordinary inside you. The only question is whether you will spend your life proving your limitations or discovering your power. The chains were never meant to be permanent. They were never stronger than your awareness. And now that you have seen them, what you do next is entirely, magnificently, and permanently yours to decide.